What if the greatest threat Dr. Doom ever created wasn't a weapon, wasn't an army, but a single decision that could erase history itself? For most people, Victor Von Doom is remembered as a conqueror, a dictator, a genius obsessed with proving that he's superior to everyone around him. That's the version the world always sees. But if you look a little closer, you'll notice something far more dangerous. Doom has never wanted destruction for the sake of destruction. He has always wanted perfection. In his own mind, every war, every invention, every impossible experiment has been nothing more than another step toward building a world that finally reflects his vision. And for years, he actually believed he had done exactly that. Hidden in the mountains of Eastern Europe, Latveria had transformed into something nobody thought was possible. Crime had practically disappeared. Technology was decades ahead of the rest of the world. Its citizens lived under an iron rule, but they also lived in stability. To Doom, this wasn't tyranny. This was proof that only one man truly understood how civilization should work. The rest of the planet simply hadn't caught up yet, but even perfection has a way of exposing its own flaws. One evening, surrounded by reports from every department in Latveria, Doom quietly studies the numbers, economic rankings, global influence, diplomatic power, military projections, resource distribution. Every statistic tells the same story. No matter how efficient Latveria becomes, no matter how advanced its technology grows, the world still treats it like a tiny nation that barely matters. Larger countries dictate global policy. Wealthier nations shape the future. Superpowers decide who rises and who falls, and Latveria, despite everything Doom sacrificed to build, remains little more than a footnote in international politics. To anyone else, these numbers would simply represent reality. To Victor Von Doom, they represent humiliation. A nation under his rule should never stand beneath anyone. If the world refuses to recognize Latveria's greatness, then perhaps the world itself is built on the wrong foundation. That realization changes everything. Instead of asking how Latveria can compete with the present, Doom begins asking a far more dangerous question. What if the present was never supposed to exist this way in the first place? What if history itself made a mistake? Somewhere in the endless chain of human decisions, wars, treaties, and political compromises, perhaps Latveria's destiny was stolen long before Victor Von Doom was even born. If that's true, then fixing the future is impossible without first correcting the past. It's an absurd idea, a reckless idea. But Doom has never cared whether an idea sounds impossible. He only cares whether it can be engineered. Then fate hands him exactly what he needed. While reviewing international broadcasts, one interview immediately captures his attention. Thousands of miles away, in Amsterdam, the world's greatest scientific minds have gathered for one of the largest technology summits ever organized. Standing confidently before an audience filled with governments, researchers, and media is the one man Doom despises more than anyone else on Earth, Reed Richards. Even before Reed begins speaking, Doom's expression hardens. Every achievement Reed earns feels like a personal insult. Every breakthrough reminds Doom that someone else continues receiving the admiration he believes belongs to him. He almost turns the broadcast off. Instead, he listens. At first, Reed discusses theoretical physics, probability models, and the relationship between causality and human decision-making. Most people in the audience struggle to follow him. But Doom understands every equation almost instantly. Then Reed says something that completely changes the atmosphere in the room. History, according to Reed Richards, behaves almost like a living organism. No matter how many small events change, time naturally attempts to reshape itself back toward its original structure. Individual alterations create ripples, but eventually those ripples disappear. Reality heals itself. That's why most attempts at changing history fail to create permanent results. The timeline constantly repairs the damage. The audience seems fascinated. Doom becomes completely still. Because Reed isn't finished, he proposes what he calls the ultimate optimization of history. If reality always repairs isolated changes, then permanent change would require every important alteration to occur simultaneously. Not one event, not 10 events. Every critical decision across history, modified together, all at once. Instead of physically sending someone into the past, Reed theorizes something far more elegant. Human consciousness could be transmitted into the mind of someone already living during any chosen period of history. The traveler wouldn't arrive as an outsider. They would awaken inside another person's body, influencing decisions from within while avoiding the physical paradoxes traditional time travel creates. The room erupts with excitement. Scientists immediately begin debating ethics, feasibility, and paradoxes. Victor Von Doom hears only one thing: a path. Without warning, his fist slams directly into the massive display in front of him. Glass explodes across the room. The screen goes black. The guards outside freeze, but nobody dares enter. For several silent seconds, Doom simply breathes. Not because he's angry that Reed has discovered something revolutionary, because Reed discovered it first. Every major scientific leap somehow circles back to Reed Richards. Every impossible idea eventually carries his name. Every miracle becomes another chapter in Reed's legacy. That thought burns deeper than any wound Doom has ever suffered. But as the anger slowly settles, something unexpected replaces it. Opportunity. If Reed believes this machine can exist, then it already exists inside Doom's imagination. And once an invention enters Victor Von Doom's mind, it belongs to him. Within hours, every laboratory across Latveria receives new classified orders. Government budgets disappear overnight. Military production shifts without explanation. Universities are emptied of their brightest engineers. Quantum physicists, neurologists, historians, artificial intelligence specialists, and energy researchers are quietly reassigned under emergency authority. Nobody is told what they're building. Nobody sees the entire design. Every scientist receives only a tiny fragment of an impossibly large puzzle. One team develops consciousness mapping. Another studies temporal synchronization. Others construct neural interfaces powerful enough to connect minds across time itself. Anyone asking unnecessary questions is immediately removed from the project. Doom understands something history has proven countless times. The fewer people who know the full truth, the harder it becomes to stop. Months pass. Entire cities begin working around the clock. Factories never sleep. Power grids are expanded. Experimental reactors consume more energy than some neighboring countries. Rumors spread throughout Latveria about a national project, unlike anything the nation has ever attempted. Some believe Doom is constructing a new defense system. Others whisper about an artificial sun. Even the intelligence agencies monitoring Latveria fail to understand what is happening because every intercepted blueprint looks completely unrelated to the others. Exactly as Doom intended. After nearly a year of relentless work, hidden beneath layers of reinforced steel deep below Latverian soil, the final pieces finally come together. Standing before him is not simply a machine. It is a challenge directed at history itself. The Doom Engine. Unlike every fictional time machine humanity has ever imagined, this device doesn't move flesh through time. It moves identity, memory, consciousness. The human mind becomes the traveler, while the body remains safely anchored in the present. Once activated, Doom can awaken inside virtually anyone who ever lived, seeing through their eyes, speaking with their voice, and influencing the choices that shaped civilization. For Victor Von Doom, history is no longer something to study. It is something to rewrite. His destination has already been chosen. Not a battlefield, not the birth of an empire, not even his own childhood. He selects one diplomatic meeting that changed the fate of millions without firing a single bullet: the Paris Peace Conference of 1919. According to Doom's research, the treaty signed after the First World War permanently stripped territories that should have belonged to Latveria. Borders were redrawn by politicians who had never even walked the land they were dividing. Nations were rewarded. Others were sacrificed. Doom believes that moment robbed his country of the future it deserved. Change that one decision, and generations of history unfold differently. Latveria becomes larger, wealthier, stronger. Everything that followed could be transformed before the modern world even exists. The calculations finish. Energy begins surging through the underground chamber. The Doom engine slowly comes alive. Victor Von Doom closes his eyes and reaches toward history itself. The chamber shakes with an intensity that even Doom hadn't predicted. Energy pulses through the massive rings surrounding the Doom engine, each rotation pulling impossible amounts of power from reactors buried beneath the mountains of Latveria. Across the country, entire cities experience brief fluctuations in electricity. Streetlights flicker. Satellites detect an enormous energy spike radiating from beneath Doom's castle. Deep underground, technicians watch in terrified silence as every system begins operating beyond its theoretical limits. For the first time since construction began, even Doom's own scientists realize they are standing beside something that doesn't simply challenge modern science. It challenges reality itself. Every calculation indicates that the transfer window is stabilizing. Every neural connection is locking into place. There is nothing left to do except begin. Doom rests one armored hand on the primary control console and quietly gives the only command that matters. Activate. The machine answers immediately. Thousands of synchronized processors ignite at once, flooding the chamber with blinding white light. Neural frequencies align. Consciousness mapping reaches 100%. The transfer countdown begins. 5, 4, 3. Every second carries the weight of history. Another moment, and Victor Von Doom will step into the past without moving a single inch in the present. Then the alarms begin. At first, it's only a single warning light flashing red across one monitor. A technician assumes it's a sensor malfunction. Seconds later, another warning appears. Then, another. Suddenly, every display in the room erupts with emergency alerts. Unauthorized aerial signatures approaching Latverian airspace. Multiple high-energy life forms detected. Defensive satellites losing communication. External power grids collapsing one after another. Before anyone can even process what they're seeing, the lights throughout the facility flicker violently. Outside, the entire European power network suffers a massive blackout stretching across multiple countries. Airports lose electricity. Communication systems fail. Cities vanish into darkness. It lasts only moments, but those moments are enough. Halfway across the continent, Reed Richards immediately recognizes the pattern. This isn't a natural failure. The amount of energy required to create a blackout on this scale could only come from one source. Something beneath Doom's castle has just consumed enough power to distort the electrical infrastructure of an entire region. Reed doesn't need proof. He already knows exactly who's responsible. And more importantly, he knows Victor Von Doom would never risk exposing himself unless whatever he was building was capable of changing everything. Within minutes, the response begins. Before Latveria's air defenses can fully recover, the sky above Doom's fortress fills with incoming aircraft, teleportation signatures, and mutant flight patterns. For once, this isn't simply the Fantastic Four answering the call. Reed understands that if Doom has actually succeeded in creating a functional temporal machine, then this isn't a conflict one superhero team can handle alone. The Avengers arrive. The X-Men arrive, the Fantastic Four lead the assault. Heroes who have spent years disagreeing with one another suddenly fight as a single force because every one of them understands the same terrifying possibility. If Doom changes even one critical event in history, none of them may remember this day. None of them may even exist. For perhaps the first time in modern history, Earth's greatest heroes aren't fighting to save the future. They're fighting to protect the past. The first explosions echo through the mountains as the fortress defenses awaken. Hidden artillery emerges from beneath stone walls. Energy cannons fire into the sky. Defensive drones launch in coordinated formations. But Doom anticipated an invasion long before construction even began. The instant external sensors confirm hostile entry, another command activates automatically. Across thousands of underground chambers, mechanical eyes suddenly glow green. One after another, steel bodies rise from charging platforms that have remained hidden for months. Doombots. Hundreds of them, then thousands. each one carrying enough intelligence to coordinate independently, yet all sharing a single objective: delay the heroes. Every second matters. Every minute brings Doom closer to history. The fortress transforms into a battlefield unlike anything Latveria has ever witnessed. Iron Man collides with airborne Doombots while Captain America cuts through mechanical soldiers attempting to seal entire corridors. Storm tears open the sky with lightning powerful enough to melt reinforced armor. Wolverine disappears into waves of machines that simply refuse to stop advancing. Everywhere the heroes gain ground, more Doombots emerge to replace those that fall. Doom never expected victory through force. He only needed enough time. As the battle spreads throughout the fortress, Reed notices something strange. The defense patterns aren't designed to eliminate intruders. They're designed to occupy them. Every hallway intentionally funnels the strongest heroes toward endless waves of Doombots instead of protecting the machine itself. Doom isn't defending territory. He's defending time. Reed immediately understands what that means. He's buying minutes, Reed realizes. Nothing else matters to him anymore. Without wasting another second, he quietly signals the only two people capable of reaching the core without triggering Doom's entire defense network. Sue Storm nods before activating her invisibility field. Beside her, Johnny Storm instantly ignites into living fire, but the flames remain carefully controlled. While Thor, Hulk, Cyclops, and the others continue drawing attention toward the main battlefield, the brother and sister vanish into corridors, hidden behind layers of collapsing machinery. Invisible to nearly every sensor in the fortress, they move deeper underground, following Reed's calculations toward the source of the impossible energy spike. Inside the central chamber, Doom watches the transfer percentage climb higher with every passing second. 93%. 95. 97. The machine hums with terrifying stability. Around him, frightened scientists begin abandoning their stations as distant explosions shake dust from the ceiling. Doom doesn't move. None of the chaos outside matters anymore. Everything he has ever wanted now exists within arm's reach. One successful transfer. One altered decision. One rewritten treaty. The future belongs to Latveria forever. Suddenly, a violent shockwave tears through the chamber entrance. The reinforced blast doors buckle inward before exploding completely off their hinges. Smoke fills the room. Through it steps a figure no security system detected. Sue Storm. Still partially invisible, she expands a force field directly beneath Doom's feet. Before he can react, the invisible platform launches upward, slamming him across the chamber with enough force to crack reinforced alloy walls. The entire control platform trembles as Doom crashes into it, leaving fractures in metal designed to survive missile strikes. Sue slowly walks forward, lowering her invisibility field as she stares directly at the armored dictator lying beneath shattered machinery. "All this brilliance," she says coldly, "and you still end up acting like every other villain we've ever stopped." Her words aren't meant to injure his body. They're meant to wound his pride. And for Victor Von Doom, there is no greater insult. He forces himself back onto one knee, glaring through the cracked mask with absolute fury. Before either of them can move again, another blazing figure lands beside Sue. Johnny Storm. Flames dance across his entire body, illuminating the chamber with orange light. For one brief moment, Doom assumes the siblings have arrived together to finish the mission Reed assigned them. Even Sue believes exactly the same thing. She begins lowering her force field, preparing to secure Doom while Johnny destroys the machine behind them. Then everything changes. Without warning, Johnny turns. A concentrated blast of superheated plasma erupts from his hands, not toward Doom, but directly toward Sue Storm. The explosion catches her completely off guard. Her own force field hasn't fully reformed. The impact hurls her across the chamber before she can even react. She crashes into the far wall with devastating force, her head striking reinforced steel hard enough to leave her unconscious before she even hits the ground. Silence follows. Doom stares in disbelief. Even the scientists hiding throughout the chamber freeze, unable to understand what they've just witnessed. Johnny slowly lowers his burning hands, never looking back at his sister. Instead, he faces Doom. "You don't have much time," he says, "for perhaps the first time in years." Victor Von Doom is genuinely surprised. For a long moment, neither of them speaks. The alarms continue screaming throughout the fortress. Explosions still echo through the mountains above, but inside the chamber, everything suddenly feels unnaturally quiet. Victor Von Doom studies Johnny's face, searching for hesitation, regret, anything that might explain what just happened. He finds none. Johnny Storm isn't smiling. He isn't celebrating. If anything, he looks exhausted, like someone carrying the weight of a decision that can never be taken back. Doom has spent his entire life reading people, predicting betrayals before they happen, manipulating kings and heroes alike. Yet this is one move he never anticipated. Reed Richards had planned for almost every possibility. Sue had infiltrated the chamber exactly as expected. But the Human Torch attacking his own sister? That wasn't strategy. That wasn't logic. It was something else entirely. "You've surprised me," Doom finally says, his voice calm despite everything collapsing around them. Johnny doesn't respond immediately. His eyes remain fixed on the Doom engine as another surge of energy ripples across its massive rings. "I didn't do this for you. I know. I did it because Reed is wrong." That answer catches even Doom off guard. For years, Johnny had defended Reed through impossible battles, trusted his judgment when nobody else understood his calculations, and followed him into missions where the odds of survival barely existed. Reed wasn't just the leader of the Fantastic Four. He was family. If Johnny was standing here now, openly opposing him, then something much bigger had happened long before this day. "You really believe history deserves to stay exactly the way it is?" Johnny continues quietly. "Because I've watched Reed convince himself that every tragedy somehow has to happen. Every loss, every sacrifice, every innocent life that disappears because changing one event might create another problem somewhere else. He calls it protecting reality. Maybe he's right, but after enough years, you start wondering if we're protecting reality or protecting our fear of changing it." Doom slowly rises to his feet. "You've finally begun asking the right questions." Johnny shakes his head. "Don't mistake me for an ally. I wouldn't insult either of us by doing that." For a brief second, mutual understanding hangs between them. They are not friends. They are not partners. They simply happen to be standing on the same side of one impossible decision. Then another explosion tears through the fortress. The walls tremble violently. Dust rains from the ceiling. Reed is getting closer. Johnny turns toward the entrance. "You've got maybe 2 minutes." Doom doesn't waste another second. He storms toward the Doom engine, where sparks are flying from several damaged control panels. Sue's attack hadn't destroyed the machine, but it had destabilized several synchronization arrays. Warning messages flash across every display. Temporal link degraded. Destination lock unstable. Manual override required. Normally, repairing the system would take hours. Doom has seconds. His armored fingers move across the controls faster than any ordinary human could even follow. Entire lines of code disappear and are rewritten in real time. Failed processors are bypassed. Power is rerouted through emergency circuits. One after another, systems return online. 98%. 99%. The machine begins stabilizing again. Behind him, Johnny watches the corridor. Then he sees him. Reed Richards bursts through the destroyed blast doors, stretching across the room with impossible speed before pulling himself back into human form. His suit is torn. His face is covered in soot. Behind him, several Avengers are still fighting their way through the collapsing fortress. "Johnny!" Reed stops the instant he notices Sue unconscious on the floor. For a split second, his attention shifts completely. Johnny lowers his eyes. "I'm sorry." Those 2 words tell Reed everything. There isn't time to ask why. There isn't time to understand. Because Victor Von Doom has already restarted the transfer sequence. Reed immediately lunges toward the machine. "Doom, stop!" Doom never even turns around. You should have destroyed it when you had the chance, Richards. Reed stretches across the chamber, reaching for the central processor. His fingers are inches away when Doom fires. A concentrated burst of emerald energy erupts from Doom's gauntlet, striking Reed square in the chest. The blast sends him crashing backward through multiple control stations, destroying equipment as he tumbles across the chamber floor. Several scientists dive for cover. The Doom engine reaches full synchronization. Every ring surrounding the machine begins spinning faster than ever before. Reality itself seems to bend. The air vibrates. Sound becomes distorted. For the first time, even Doom feels the impossible force gathering around him. Reed struggles back to his feet. His eyes immediately lock onto one display screen. And suddenly, he smiles. Not because he's winning, because he notices something Doom hasn't. During the chaos, during Sue's attack, during the emergency repairs, one critical system had remained exposed: the destination coordinates. Reed doesn't have enough time to shut the machine down, but he doesn't need to. As Doom prepares to initiate the consciousness transfer, Reed stretches one arm across nearly the entire chamber, slipping past collapsing machinery and blazing electrical arcs. His fingertips barely reach the navigation console. One quick movement, one rewritten line of coordinates. That's all it takes. No alarms sound. No warning appears. The Doom engine accepts the new destination instantly. Doom never notices. Goodbye, Richards. Victor Von Doom places both hands onto the neural interface. Massive metallic restraints lock around his arms. The crown-like synchronization frame lowers over his head. Every monitor reaches 100%. Consciousness separation initiated. For one brief heartbeat, nothing happens. Then the world disappears. Victor Von Doom feels every memory, every thought, every piece of his identity being pulled apart into pure information. Time loses all meaning. Up and down vanish. Millions of images flash around him faster than the human brain should ever be capable of processing. Ancient civilizations rise and collapse in an instant. Stars are born. Galaxies die. Human history unfolds like scattered pages caught inside a hurricane. He sees faces he has never met, wars that haven't happened yet, children who will never be born. Entire lifetimes pass between heartbeats. Then, impact. Cold air slams into his lungs. Salt fills his nose. The violent vibration of enormous engines echoes beneath his feet. He opens his eyes. Not inside a conference hall, not in Paris, not in 1919. He is standing inside a cramped, dimly lit cabin barely large enough for a bed. The walls are steel, the ceiling is low. The room rocks gently from side to side. His hands, they aren't armored anymore. They're rough, dirty, smaller than his own. He rushes toward a cracked mirror hanging on the wall. A complete stranger stares back. Not Victor Von Doom, not anyone powerful. Just an exhausted young passenger wearing worn-out third-class clothing. His breathing becomes heavier. No. He immediately looks around, searching for any clue. A folded newspaper lies on the small table. He grabs it. His eyes race toward the date printed across the front, April 14th, 1912. His heartbeat stops. This isn't possible. This isn't Paris. This isn't the peace conference. The conference hasn't even happened yet. It won't happen for another 7 years. Then, another realization hits him even harder. He isn't just in the wrong year, he's in the wrong place. Far outside the tiny cabin window, endless black ocean stretches beneath a moonlit sky. The ship vibrates beneath his feet. Suddenly, he hears music somewhere above. Laughter, voices, footsteps rushing through narrow corridors. His mind desperately pieces everything together. Steel walls, third-class passenger, April 14th, 1912. The North Atlantic. Only one ship in history fits every detail. Victor Von Doom slowly looks upward. His expression twists from confusion into absolute fury. Richards. The single word escapes through clenched teeth. Then, somewhere high above the deck, a lookout rings a bell. 3 sharp strikes cut through the freezing night. A terrified voice echoes across the ocean. "Iceberg, right ahead."